to talk about Switzerland because it was a fucking awesome time. It was
this was your first time, right?
It was my first time ever.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go.
I went when I was like, I don't know, 15, 16, because we used to go to south of France a lot.
All right.
So it was kind of close.
See, to an Australian, that just sounds like such a flex. It's like, yeah, we just casually just went to like the south of France. No biggie,
You could drive like 4 countries in like 3 hours in Europe easily.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't even drive out of Sydney in 3 hours.
I know.
So it's like,
But,
what?
You know, at that age when you go to Switzerland, if you're not from Switzerland, you can't do anything.
Yeah,
It's
right.
so goddamn expensive.
It was. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was something I knew and haven't been to Switzerland before, because before I've only been to Geneva, which was a totally different vibe from where we went to.
I've heard they got a great convention there.
Well, Joe. Fuck's sake, Joe.
Sorry, I had to.
Fuck's sake. Get your dad jokes out
I
the way,
hate that
Joey.
took me like legitimately 4 seconds to understand what you were joking about.
Yeah, no, but Switzerland was great. We went to Zurich.
Yep.
We went to Lucerne,
Yes.
which is a beautiful like lake. And what was the south part?
Saas-Fee.
Saas-Fee. That's
I
it.
never knew how it was pronounced. Was it like I saw how it was spelled and I was like,
Yeah.
Saas-Fee?
Saas-Fee.
Saas-Fee? That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound Swiss.
Which is like right near like Zermatt, if you guys know where that is. It's like the big southern Alps. Yeah, on the border. It was beautiful.
Yeah, there are a few places in the world that I've been to where it looks so beautiful that it almost looks like a fucking green screen because of like, you know, how it almost is so beautiful that it doesn't look real. And Switzerland was one of those places, especially up in the mountains. As someone who never grew up going on like skiing, snowboarding trips, I've never seen so many fucking mountaintops in my life. Holy shit. And that is on their backyards as well.
Yeah, it's just mountains.
Yeah.
They just literally just mountain the country.
The one thing that shocked me the most, I think, immediately was like there's all these like beautiful, you know, especially like near Lucerne where it's not snowing, right? Because it's like on the sea level, but there's still these like beautiful green hills, and it's just such a vibe. It's almost like cottagecore, where it'd just be this empty hill, and there'd just be this one tiny log cabin just sitting there in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like,
think who's building these?
Who looked at this giant empty hill and was like, I'm gonna live right there, right in the middle of there.
Yeah, there were a lot of those, and you know they look really cool. But then I think about having like the logistics of like living there.
Yeah.
Because some of these cottages are in the middle of this, and it's not like a tiny hill. It is like a steep mountain a lot of the
It's like
times.
several thousand meter tall like mountains.
I'm like, how the fuck do these people get anywhere? How do people
How
go?
do they go shopping?
How do they go shopping, man?
Yeah, so we worked with a Swiss production company, which is really interesting as well, because we got to talk to a bunch of Swiss people for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I asked the same question. I was like, how the fuck do these people get up there and then like get stuff up there? Because there's no roads.
Yeah.
And even if you're like a hiking boss, like there's only so much you can reasonably bring up. And they were telling me that apparently, again, this must be like a too much money kind of problem.
Yeah.
They just helicopter. Everyone helicopters. Because
Everyone just has a personal helicopter?
no. Apparently, because obviously in Switzerland, it's mandatory services required. It seemed like, again, when we asked the crew this, it's like 20 people. We were like, who's done mandatory service? And like 3 of them had done it. So it doesn't sound that mandatory. It seems like there's a lot of ways for it not to be mandatory.
Yeah.
But they have mandatory service in their military, obviously, because of Switzerland's history of being neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral in terms of attacking and defending, very much not so
Oh no,
neutral.
I heard some stories from like the Swiss natives, and they were like, yeah, you know, sometimes our bridges are designed to be blown up, and we have probably it's those cottages.
Well, they have like the most bunkers, I think, in the world as well. Like,
really?
They've been like an insane amount of mountainside bunkers
That
were
doesn't
built during
surprise
the
me.
war.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. I don't know if they have the most, but they have like an absurd amount of bunkers.
Yeah,
And
they
everything
do.
Can be destroyed.
Hey, everything can be destroyed, and I was talking to one of the guys there. They were saying telling me that
374,000 bumpers and likely more.
Oh, it's Johnny
Yeah.
Harris, so it could be made at the fuck up awards. Okay, 360,000 the Rio time.
yeah. And there was something like some of the cottages could easily be like, you know, secret like weapons caches or something along the lines, or bunkers. And I'm like,
That's where the Swiss banks are.
The more you like talk to Swiss people, the more you realize they're like the Texans of Europe. because they all have guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all talk about like freedom.
Yeah.
And like independence.
Yeah.
And like claiming what's yours and having the right to it. Except it's got like a very European twist to it.
I've
Instead
never.
of having a processed burger, you get a nice slice of cheese
Yeah.
and some chocolate.
I've never seen a group of people, as you said, so aggressively chill.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
very
because
chill.
it's like you have the same kind of like things that Texans love, but they're just so fucking chill about it, and they will do anything to protect that chillness. Apparently, they will blow up their own country before someone invades their chill.
Yeah.
Which I got to respect.
And they were constantly willing to tell us the history of Switzerland, which was really interesting as well. Because I don't actually know a whole lot about
No,
Switzerland.
I
It's
didn't
one of the
know
countries
either.
that I think you don't hear a lot about on purpose. I think that's what they like it. They're like, just
Yeah.
stay
I
your
mean,
own.
before we went to Switzerland, the only like 3 things I kind of really knew about Switzerland was just like the cheese,
Yeah.
obviously, the watches,
Yeah.
and the banks.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else, I'm
Chocolates.
just like, oh, and the chocolates. And it's
Yeah.
like, other than that, I'm like, I don't know anything about anything in this country. I'm like, what language do you speak? 5 of them.
yeah.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah, you kind of realize and kind of knew going into it that if you're just born in Switzerland, you just get a spawn advantage.
Yeah.
Because you are born with like 4 languages basically that you
So not
that you
fair.
can speak.
It is probably like the most OP place to be born
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of like life advantage.
Right?
Like, it's pretty crazy. And like I also like the money. I just assume everywhere that isn't the UK and Europe uses euros. So ignorantly, I'm like
Yeah.
these filthy European countries. Let them use their funny, weird euro money. And then we get there and it's like CHF. I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I am not going to look up how much things, like the conversion rate.
Oh, the
I'm not
Swiss-
learning another conversion rate. I'm
The
done.
Swiss franc.
So when I'm buying a coffee, I'm like, damn, it's cheap. Only like €5. And it's like, nah, it's like actually like £7. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, shit. That's expensive, this coffee.
I think the Swiss franc, from the last I saw, I might be completely wrong on
Close to
this.
the dollar, right?
It's
Yeah.
160 something yen to the dollar. To the Swiss franc, I
You
believe.
go, okay. I mean,
I know.
What's crazy is that my Japanese yen knowledge is only applicable to the dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
same.
don't
same.
know the yen's relative strength to anything
Yeah,
else.
168 yen, and that's gone down.
What's the franc to the dollar? That's what. Even though I'm British, I do everything to the dollar.
To the US dollar, I think it's
Yeah, it's
it's
almost
pretty
like
close,
it's
yeah.
almost like 1-to-1, which is what I
a
realized.
dollar
Yeah, it's
10
like,
US
actually,
yeah.
franc.
Yeah, so everything was ridiculously expensive.
It
So
was.
expensive.
It was.
Far out.
And now I kind of realize, now that you mentioned that, I think I've been to more European countries that don't use the euro than do. Because on like the Euro trip that we went to, I think most places had their own currency.
Yeah, but I think like
Yeah, but
for
it wasn't like the
example-
main currency, right?
Yeah, no, it is. So
What-
for the Swiss krona. Is
Yeah,
that
the Swiss
Yeah,
krona.
yeah,
From
yeah.
what I understand, it is tied to the euro.
What does that
I-
mean? Like the fucking Scottish pound,
No,
which is
so it like fluctuates. So if the euro goes down,
Fuck's a
it's like
Scottish pound.
it's the pound, but it's Scottish, and it's
Yeah.
it's,
Is that
it's,
not
No,
the
no, it's
same?
It's the
different.
sa-
It's
it's-
different. This is different. That's actually the pound.
yeah, that's actually the pound,
Oh.
but it's called the Scottish pound. And there's different notes.
So like the Swiss currency value is like 1-to-1. Well, not 1-to-1, but like if it's 20 and the euro is 1, if it fluctuates, it goes up and down accordingly. They're tied. So do you want to? Can you Google this to show it, Kai? Sorry.
I did not understand that at all.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of weird.
if-
I think it's a way where countries like to have like, hey, this is our currency,
Right.
but it is still completely like reliant
No,
on
Sweden.
the euro. Sorry, yes,
The Swede krona.
type in like Swedish
Swedish
krona
krona.
tied to euro.
Sweden does not currently use the euro as its currency and has no plans to replace the existing Swedish krona in the near future. So they don't use euro.
Okay.
Wait, which one of the countries does this?
Is it Danish?
Danish?
Could be. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I remember.
On this episode of I
Factually
Made It the
incorrect.
Fuck Up on
No, I
Trash
swear-
Taste.
Yeah, is SEK pegged to euro? Scroll down. That's that one. Not just in German. We
Man,
should peg
all
it.
of this is
Wait,
just
wait,
like-
is it the Danish? No, it's the Danish one. Wait, that's what Hart told me.
Which is also called the krona, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the Danish currency?
okay.
Krone. It's the krone.
Okay.
Krone.
So it's
Oh
the
my
Swedish
god.
krona
Okay.
and the Danish krone.
Okay, I'm fucking stupid. It was Denmark, not Sweden.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Sweden. I know
Yeah.
you don't like being confused with Denmark.
You have just declared war on all of Sweden. With
Yeah,
that.
so like this currency is like required to stay within a range.
Right.
Right.
So I don't understand the benefit of doing this because I'm not smart enough for that
Yeah.
financially. As I paid $8 for a coffee in Switzerland. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't take any financial advice from me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so answer me this as
Okay.
someone who is not European whatsoever. Can you still use the euro?
No.
No.
So it's only this
it's-
currency.
It's a different currency.
So in
Yeah.
so in Switzerland you can only use the
Yeah.
franc.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same
Yeah.
way you couldn't rock up to Australia with the dollar.
Well, then where do you use the euro?
France,
That's the real question, right, Joe?
France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands.
Oh, so it's selective
Spain.
European countries.
Yeah, it's up to the
selective
country.
European countries, which is why the UK were like, nah, we're going to do our own thing.
Ireland.
And we're gonna
I
keep
see.
It's like because the UK for the long time, it depends on like what the country does. So like the UK is
Right.
a very big banking country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they historically had a very strong currency for banking, and they wanted it to be separate from Euro shenanigans.
Right.
And
I imagine like there's a little bit of like elitism in there where they thought like, no, we don't want this filthy
no, there's definitely I
like currency.
you know,
We want like our good currency.
I mean, if there
Right.
wasn't any elitism, how did what happened with us in the EU, right?
Yeah.
Let's just not talk about that for a second.
I
But-
mean, not much to talk about. Fucking idiots. That's it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. But you know, back to Switzerland. Met some interesting characters there. It seemed like almost everyone we met there just had an interesting story, which is kind of shows when you're born in Switzerland, surrounded by all of these other countries, you kind of have so many different experiences from so many different cultures just because you're right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, our team was kind of we were like collecting the infinity stones of Europeans because I feel it was like every different nationality was just happened to conglomerate into Sweden. Not Sweden, sorry, Switzerland. Sorry, Sweden too. Because like we obviously had like Swiss people, but we had a lot of like French people.
They're basically the same.
Yeah.
Okay, what? Look, I don't know the fucking geopolitical shit of that, all right? But one that was really interesting was the guy that you were talking to up in the ski slopes. Which country was it again? I don't want to say in case I piss
Oh,
off.
Austria?
Luxembourg?
Luxembourg.
Oh, Luxembourg.
Yeah, there was a dude from Luxembourg, which is like the first time. It was like kept finding a shiny Pokemon. I was like, whoa, you
Yeah.
guys exist?
You found
That's
literally
crazy.
someone who exists from Luxembourg.
Yeah.
I imagine it's probably not that uncommon in that area, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe, but
I don't know.
It was uncommon for me, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I've always wanted to go to Luxembourg." And he was like, "Really? Why?" And I was like, "Because like I don't hear about
I mean,
anyone who's been to
I
Luxembourg."
don't think there's a whole lot going on in
Yeah.
Luxembourg.
Yeah, I asked him. I was like, "I'm kind of interested to go to Luxembourg to just check it out to see what it's like because I don't know anyone who's been there." So like, as someone from Luxembourg, like, how's Luxembourg? And he's just like, "It's okay."
I mean, I think like one of the main cities is like built around a castle,
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you can get that in a lot of other European countries too.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Luxembourg except the fact that Luxembourg exists, and now I know. And now I've met
And they're
one
always at the
person.
highest GDP or some shit.
Something like that. Yeah.
Do they?
They have a really high GDP. But again, I think that's a case of like a lot of people work within Luxembourg.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite.
Wow. Wow.
No, that's great. That's the overall GDP.
Right. Why is Luxembourg
Per
GDP so
capita,
high?
100
Tourism,
yeah.
logistics, and information technology.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. And I think public transport's free. I think I could be wrong, or it's free to
How big is Luxembourg?
tiny, fucking
Tiny.
tiny.
Yeah, because I thought it was a tiny
I
country.
mean, it's one of those countries where if you're just looking at a map of Europe, you can't see it from a big picture.
Yeah, all public transport is free in
Whoa.
Luxembourg.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, realistically, how far can it take you?
Not very. I think that's because like
The longest train we have is 45 minutes.
And I could be wrong, but I believe a lot of people within Luxembourg or like who work in Luxembourg don't live in Lux. Like a lot of people will commute into Luxembourg.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Again, it's that small that you can,
You can probably like commute to
Yeah.
a different country to work if
Yeah.
you think about it. You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think like there's a lot of advantages to being a very tiny country in like positioned around other larger countries where you can kind of selectively make.
I mean, look at it compared to Belgium.
Like
which
Belgium
is
is a
also
very small
tiny
country.
Yeah, Belgium already a very small country next to Luxembourg, which is fucking, that's like a city. You know?
Yeah. Like even like Switzerland is massive in comparison to
my God,
Luxembourg. Right? So like,
Jesus Christ.
I remember we were in the car and we drove from the airport to our first shoot location. And Joey was like, wow, we drove 3 hours and we're half the country away
Yeah, I know.
from where we started. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to Europe,
That
Joey.
shit blows my mind, man. I'm like, damn, like Italy's just like right there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah, we went on some train thing, and I thought it was gonna be like the Eurotunnel where because the Eurotunnel is really cool. You like drive into a train, and then it closes on you.
Yeah.
because you're going through a tunnel.
Yeah.
But we went on like a train that was kind of like just like a platform with like one rail, and then you just fucking go.
It was
There's
like
no
one of
like roof.
It was
or
like one of those like
casing.
cattle trains.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
sick, and then you just go through this tunnel, and then it's awesome. You can see it all.
Yeah, I remember there was a sign. You like drive into like what looks like something they drive cattle into.
Yeah.
And on the side, I just saw this sign which was like, "Whatever you do not open the door." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay."
I was very surprised because when I heard the train, I thought the exact same thing as Connor. But when we got on the train, they were like, wow, if I just open my door now, I could literally just jump off this train.
Yeah.
There is nothing stopping me from
Just death.
Just death
Yeah.
right there. And if one of the cars behind me just forgot to put the parking gear on, then we're fucked.
If this was in like Florida, it would be shut down within a month.
Yeah.
You would hear like
We shut down within a day.
all kinds of headlines.
Yeah.
Florida man starts car on train.
But what it also made me realize was, oh, this is what Elon Musk tried to invent, which was already invented by the Europeans like last century.
Yeah, and it's actually like good and
And it actually works and
Yeah.
it's good. And I'm like, what the fuck? Of course everyone was clowning on him.